Importing cars with non-compliant emission standards. What you need to know. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our customs brokerage video series. I'm here today to discuss a question that many importers often ask. Can I import a car with non-compliant emission standards into the United States? Let's dive in and find out. When it comes to importing a car into the United States, compliance with emission standards is a crucial factor. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in the U.S. has established strict regulations to ensure that imported vehicles meet the required emission standards. These standards are in place to protect the environment and public health. However, if you're considering importing a car with non-compliant emission standards, it's important to know that it may not be straightforward or even possible. The EPA requires imported vehicles to meet U.S. emission standards, which include strict limits on pollutants such as carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter. So, what happens if you attempt to import a car that doesn't meet the emission standards? Well, in most cases, the car will be rejected at the border crossing. The customs officers will conduct a thorough inspection of the vehicle, including checking the emission control system, and if they find that it doesn't comply with the standards, they have the authority to refuse entry into the United States. However, in certain rare cases, there are provisions for importing non-compliant vehicles. The EPA does allow for exemptions under specific circumstances. These exemptions are typically granted for vehicles that are imported for research and development, demonstration purposes, or for show and display events. But it's important to note that these exemptions are limited and require a detailed application process. If you believe that your car meets the criteria for an exemption, you will need to work closely with a customs broker who is well versed in the regulations surrounding importing non-compliant vehicles. They will help guide you through the application process and ensure that you provide all the necessary documentation and justifications. Another option for importing a non-compliant vehicle is to modify it to meet the U.S. emission standards. However, this can be a complex and costly process. The modification requirements will depend on the specific emission standards that need to be met, and it may involve retrofitting the vehicle with approved emission control components or even an engine replacement. It's important to note that modifying a vehicle to meet emission standards is not something that can be done easily. It requires expertise and compliance with various regulations, including certification from the EPA. Again, a customs broker can provide valuable assistance in navigating through this process. To summarize, importing a car with non-compliant emission standards into the United States is generally not allowed. The EPA has strict regulations in place to protect the environment and public health. However, there are limited exemptions available for specific purposes such as research and development or show and display events. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to import a non-compliant vehicle, it's crucial to work closely with a knowledgeable customs broker who can guide you through the process. They will help ensure that you comply with all the necessary requirements and maximize your chances of a successful import. Thank you for joining us today as we explored the topic of importing cars with non-compliant emission standards into the United States. We hope you found this information helpful and informative. Be sure to stay tuned for our upcoming videos, as we continue to provide valuable insights on customs brokerage and international trade. Disclaimer note below. See you next time.